of what they were then.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Since they were 2 championship appearances, a win, a championship followed by a 73-win team that barely lost by a possession at home in Game 7 on LeBron James's greatest night, basically. That was the original thing. Then they added KD. Bob Myers is GM. That entire organization, look what they've been able to pull off. Now look at what they have in the treasure trove, right? Like look at the potential energy they have in draft picks and whatever value Wiggins can have if he's not the keeper. And you mean to tell me they can't identify a third wheel or second wheel to go with Steph, who's even better than Clay or Draymond, with a high first, an unprotected first round pick, first and seconds coming up, and Wiggins?
So if you've been a fan of the NBA for longer than 5 years, I'm sure you're probably sick of seeing the Warriors win rings. And even if they're not winning, they're still constantly at the top of the league. But now with the Warriors' entire team catching the injury bug all at once, they have gone from 5 straight finals to bottom of the league in 1 season. But one thing to keep in mind is that the Warriors' failure this season is just because of that: injuries. With Klay Thompson tearing his ACL during last year's finals and KD leaving, Steph Curry came into the season expecting to do a lot of carrying for a Warriors team where he was now the oldest player, and they had a lot of new talent, with him, Draymond Green, Damian Lee, and Kevon Looney being the only healthy players returning from last year. But the basketball gods would also get him, and he would break his hand just 4 games into the season. And so with that, the Warriors pretty much just went into rebuild mode and decided to wait for next season. And so what will that season even look like now that they'll be getting Steph and Klay back at 100%? Well, today we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about the roster, some changes they've made, and their potential draft picks going into next season. But before we begin, if you're new here, I'm Double D. I'm a huge basketball fan and I make NBA videos here on YouTube every week. So if you're also an NBA fan, or just a basketball fan in general, feel free to hit the sub button and click the bell so you'll be notified when I upload. Alright, let's get into the video. Okay, so the main thing to talk about right now is injuries. The Warriors season was pretty much destroyed by the amount of injuries they had, and it was like the basketball gods were coming to collect after the last 5 years. The Warriors this season have had injuries with nearly every player on the roster, but obviously the biggest ones to look at are Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Kevon Looney. The thing to look at here is not only the fact that they're coming back, but they're coming back fully healthy because of the extra downtime with everything going on right now. The biggest cases out of these 4 are obviously Klay Thompson and Kevon Looney. Klay is not likely coming back even if the season continues because both Kyrie and Kevin Durant are confirmed not coming back even with the extra rest. So we might expect a similar situation with Klay, which by the way pretty much makes everything that I said in this video I made a couple months ago completely useless. So that's cool, I guess. But anyway, with the extra rest they're getting this season, we can expect to see them come back better than they would have if he came back in the original target of February. And Kevon Looney is now out for the season, which was reported recently after he got surgery on his core, which is what was giving him problems the whole season and why he hasn't really been playing. So he's also coming back at full health next season, and Steph Curry's already made his return in what's basically a lottery season for Golden State, so there's nothing to really talk about there other than rest again. But you also have to think about the potential exhaustion these guys were going through with all the games that they've been playing and the finals runs they've been making in the last 5 years. And even before that, they were in the playoff race for 2 years, so there's that, and they're getting the much needed time off. As for Draymond, he's had minor injuries all season, nothing really major, so there's nothing to really talk about there. But overall, the Warriors' main core, minus Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala, are still going to be a problem for the league. And now with the addition of a lot of young talent to go along with them, we may see the Warriors pick up right where they left off. Of course, they're not going to be as good as they were with Kevin Durant, but they're still going to be a contending team, likely at the top of the conference again. But, like I just mentioned, those guys are the key to them coming back. So like I said before, the Warriors have a lot of new players on their team this season. But this is actually going to work in their favor the next season and the seasons after. With the Warriors picking up talent like Kai Bowman, Eric Paschall, Marquise Chris, Jordan Poole, and of course, the GOAT Alen Smailagic, they have a lot of young talent. And with this season being a rebuild season, they're already getting a lot of experience. And the biggest thing to think about is the fact that there's been basically no pressure on these guys all season since Steph Curry broke his hand. There's no, oh, we have to figure it out soon to make the playoffs. Like, there's none of that because it's pretty much apparent that any hopes of making the playoffs flew out the window. And they're improving fast. Like, you can look at how they were playing at the start of the season where we were getting blown out by like 40 every game compared to where we are now. It's a huge difference. But of course, I can't talk about acquired talent without mentioning Andrew Wiggins. The Warriors received Andrew Wiggins and 2 draft picks in return for D'Angelo Russell, Jacob Evans, and Amari Spellman. We'll talk about draft picks later, but Andrew Wiggins is a great fit for this Warriors team. And there have been people talking about how maybe he'll finally find his place in this new system. His first few games with Golden State have been promising though, even without Steph and Klay on the floor. In his 12 games with Golden State, he's averaging 19.5 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists, 1.3 steals and 1.4 blocks, and he's shooting almost 46% from the field and 34% from 3. So now the Warriors have another option to go to in their starting lineup, because that was an issue for them last playoffs after KD went down. It was the fact that Stephen Klay and Draymond were really the only options in the starting lineup. I can see Andrew Wiggins having a Harrison Barnes type role once everyone's back. A decent spot-up shooter who can also create his own shot when needed, while providing good defense on the other end of the floor. I think he's going to be a good fit for this team, with the only problem right now being that this Warriors roster hasn't played a single game with everyone there yet. And so that's going to be something to keep in mind going into next season. It shouldn't take too long for them to figure out how to play alongside each other. However, this could also change with who the Warriors decide to draft this offseason. So, right off the bat, the draft is something that I don't really like to give too much thought into until it gets closer, but with everything going on right now, hey, I need something to do and I'm bored, so let's talk. The Warriors are expected to be given the first pick in the draft lottery when it does eventually happen. It was supposed to happen on May 19th, but it's been postponed until sometime in August or September when the season is expected to end. And so the Warriors will be looking at the first pick. Most mock drafts are predicting the Warriors to draft Anthony Edwards, who's athletic but also a great playmaker, so he can be really good for the Warriors. But the main thing to talk about is the amount of draft picks the Warriors have over the next 3 years. In 2020, they have their own first-round pick and the Mavericks and Jazz second-round picks. In 2021, they have their own first-round pick, the Timberwolves first-round pick acquired in the D'Lo trade, which is top 3 protected. And by the way, a protected draft pick basically means that the team that sent them that pick gets to keep it if they fall within that range. So if the T-Wolves land in the top 3 in the 2021 draft, then they get to keep that pick, which is not likely given what they have right now with D'Lo and Karl Anthony Towns. So Golden State is likely keeping that pick. But they also have the Nuggets second-round pick and the T-Wolves second-round pick. And in 2022, they have their own first and second-round picks and a second-round pick from the Raptors. So if you're counting, that is 10 draft picks in the next 3 years. Given that they already have a lot of young talent, they're likely going to flip them for assets in the future. With one rumor being that they may go after Giannis soon, and I already made a video about this if you want to watch, but that's the Warriors' future. They have easily one of the best futures in the entire league, with not only their stars returning, but also promising young talent, support pieces, and draft picks. Given what their front office has been able to do in just the decade that they've been there, I don't see anything stopping them from turning this into a second half of a Warriors dynasty in the next few years. So I hope you guys enjoyed your break from the Warriors, because we're coming back. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, subscribe if you're new, and comment down below what you want to see next. My socials are in the description below, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.